Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as it is finally Friday, folks. You're almost there to the weekend, and we're going to have plenty to talk about heading into the weekend. Not only giving us the latest with Razorback coaching searches, we're going to have a new name to go through and make a case for. We'll give you some details on that. We'll also talk about Arkansas, Texas A&M. If the weather's going to hold, I think it's going to be a big factor into it, but we'll look into all the college football landscape this weekend and get into all the great stuff that I'm sure all of you are going to chat about. But fellas, it's Friday. How are the vibes officially on this Friday?
Very, very solid, man. I'm loaded up on caffeine right now, so it's got me all geeked, and already been to the store, got a couple steaks, nice little ribeye, got a rack of ribs. I'm gonna throw them on the grill later. I'm feeling good, man. This is gonna be a vibes day for sure.
I like that. Yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend. It's I've got my tornado disaster kit ready to roll for tomorrow. I'm ready in case that if I need to bunker down, I'll be all right. And it's DMAC Day Eve, and it's the first win of the Bobby Petrino era Eve.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about, obviously the game itself. We'll see if the weather does hold. I'm hoping, because it's changing every second, it feels like, as far as when it's going to be happening. And shout out to my guy James Bryant, who is the guy when it comes to all things weather, especially down there in Central Arkansas and everything. But the latest I got from him is he says that he showed me some radars and talked about how it's looking like it's going to be the heavy stuff happening around 2 to 3-ish. But then it says that the heavy stuff will be starting at 4. So game's at 2:30, and I feel like that's probably going to be right in the middle of the game. So it's going to be great. It's going to be so great if you all are out there. I know our guy Cameron's going to be there. Better bring some ponchos. But again, the way the thing's been changing, it could be saying, no, actually it's going to be afterwards. I think everybody should just come prepared is really what it needs to be. Just come prepared. Hopefully there's no delays, though. That's going to be the biggest thing. Just no delays. And if there is one, make it before the game starts instead of in the middle of the game.
Dude, 100%, man. Yeah, like you want to rain, that's fine. You want to rain hard, that's okay too. Snow if you want to, but we can't have the lightning, man, and the crazy delays. That puts such a drag on things. And you're right, like the hourly forecast changes literally every hour. So I'm kind of getting these vibes of, which this is not going to inspire a lot of confidence, but that Ole Miss game last year. Yeah, I remember me and Andrew were driving back from Fort Worth, and the skies were just so ominous, and it was like, man, this is going to be this torrential downpour. Maybe Ole Miss won't be able to sling it all over the yard, and then it just didn't do anything, and then Arkansas just got pounded out there. So hopefully it's not like that, but maybe we can get the weather to hold off just a little bit. We'll see. No delays. I'm with you, man. There's nothing worse than that in baseball, any sport, but a football delay just feels weird. It feels wrong, and can make for a long, long day at the office.
I'm trying to think of the year. It's either 02 or 03. The only good football delay that's ever happened in Tuscaloosa for the Arkansas Razorbacks, where they had like an hour and a half delay in Tuscaloosa, and they wound up coming back and winning that game. But I'm with you. I don't want there to be any funny business. There's no chance that the weather would impact Arkansas in the fumble department again, right?
I mean, could it get worse? I mean, I guess it could.
Fair enough. They fumbled 4 times last week. I mean,
yeah, I guess it could get worse, but I don't know. I'm looking at it from like some of the games I remember in the rain. Like that was one, Andrew, I remember. The Ole Miss game in 2010 had some lightning delays. I remember that. Arkansas ended up winning that game. The Kentucky game in 2012, one of the 2 SEC wins that John L. Smith had, they literally ended the game. It was like 49-7 in the third quarter. Like, nah, we ain't playing this one anymore. So again, you don't want to ever have delays. And I always laugh because I had somebody, I guess when I retweeted one of the weather reports, they're just like, I love games in the rain. Football, in the elements, it needs to be great. I'm like, that's a guy that's not going to the game because there's no way that you just love sitting in there. And I feel like if you're going to be in a game, like especially football, I think snow is probably like the only okay element that maybe I would be okay with. Like no one likes high winds. No one likes rain. It's just, I don't know, maybe I'm the weirdo, but I feel like everyone who says, man, I love the elements, getting out there in the elements, that's not a real thing. Nobody actually truly really loves that. You may love watching it on TV from the comfort of your home, but anywhere else, I just don't think that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, pigs like to play around in the mud, so we got that going for us. Aggies, I don't really want to talk about what they like to do. So,
Ooh. Yeah. Does the rain affect the yells? Does it
Pass it
affect
back? Can they
the
still do that?
motions? You know, do you get the arms pumping in a different direction? I don't know.
Oh, I guess we'll find out a little bit of what Aggies do there in the rain. They don't want to get their boots wet from the cadets or whatever it is. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be happening. Of course, again, tomorrow at 2:30, going to have our pregame show for Inside Arkansas. Pregame show presented by Bet SARACEN happening at 9 a.m. in the morning. So be sure to tune in and check that out. And of course, postgame action, hopefully talking about a win because it's been a while, guys. I mean, it's been a minute since we've had a win to talk about. And it's kind of laughing when made the partnership with War Machine. I'm like, I don't know when we're ever going to have this actual partnership happen when you get to put highlights up of a win that Arkansas has. So hopefully it happens here soon, at least on the football side of things. Basketball, once those exhibition games get going, we'll see. But either way, right now, though, the spread, guys, has also been kind of moving according to Bet SARACEN for this game. I'm wondering if anyone's actually taking legitimacy in the weather, like, oh man, I want to put money on this or not put money on this in the weather. But right now, it's at 7.5. The highest I saw it get was 9.5 for A&M, but now it's moved down to 7.5. If it moves to 7, I may have to take some action on Arkansas. I'm just being honest, but that 7.5 is a dangerous little play right there.
Yeah, it's this team is so interesting, man. How it just never. There are no circumstances. Taylon Green could oversleep his alarm, and you could get word of it that he just wasn't going to be at the game, and the line would move in favor of Arkansas. It's just, for whatever reason, this continues to happen week in and week out, regardless of who they're playing or what the situation looks like. But I think it's because they just always kind of have a chance. That they stand a good chance of pissing it away or whatever. But there is something to be said for an offense that can strike at any time. And we won't talk about the other side of the ball, but it's kind of wild to me. I know what do they give you? Usually like 3 or something for the home field advantage, usually where that goes. So I'm sure that's part of it there. But if I'm looking at it, I'm thinking about the way Arkansas plays at home. They haven't had a competitive home game against a real team since they beat Tennessee, right? It was like almost a calendar year. So I don't know, man. I guess it could go one of two directions, and you can just choose where to put your money. But you guys know what my score prediction is, so I'm kind of leaning in the other direction, I think.
Yeah, I think another aspect of this is that A&M has had some good performances. I mean, I would say they're coming off of maybe their best overall performance against Florida. You take care of that game by 17. A&M hasn't really kicked anyone's ass bad this year. They beat UTSA 42-24. You beat Notre Dame by 1, of course. You beat Auburn by 6. Mississippi State I guess the last 2 games have been their best performances. But I think part of that is maybe Vegas thinks A&M's probably not going to win this game by 30. And then Arkansas's offense, they'll score a decent amount. But yeah, I think the 3-point home field advantage thing factors in. And so they think, hey, Vegas or Aggies are about 10 points better than Arkansas. And so it kind of makes sense. It's fascinating to watch these lines move every week. The line moves like crazy. I've never seen more line movement with one specific team every single week. But all year long, we've been chasing our own tail. So it's I have no idea what to expect, because I felt the same way last week where I'm like, damn, Arkansas getting a lot of respect from Vegas, but then it kind of worked out.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of feels like the Tennessee game, maybe a little bit, maybe less so. But I'm like, I have no idea what's going to happen, man. I truly don't. It's like I keep thinking about the matchups, keep thinking about this, but it's like, oh well, but hold on a second, Moss is out for A&M, so that could help, that could be an impact. It's like I don't really know which direction to go with it, but and of course, again, when we talked about the weather, is that going to have any impact whatsoever? I guess time will tell. But yeah, you need to get something going at home. You need to have some sort of excitement to happen with it too. And I know that it's going to be fun. I'm going to have fun. We're going to have fun no matter what it's going to be for this Razorback game against A&M. But want to remind everybody that here on Inside Arkansas Live, we're presented by friends over at Drain Masters. Hey, listen, if there's a lot of clogging, if there's a lot of issues when it comes to making sure the water is getting where it needs to be in your plumbing, well, look no further than the best in the business, the Drain Masters of Arkansas. Not only are they licensed plumbers there and drain cleaning in Arkansas, but they're also licensed in Oklahoma as well. So they're serving the entire state, both states, and they can help you out no matter what it is. And if you ever have any sort of issues, whether it's in your home or in your business, anywhere, they are always going to have that professional, reliable service. And if you give them a call today at 479-646-5585, that's 479-646-5585, or you scan the QR code on your screen and you get that service all squared away and scheduled up and get to all your plumbing needs to be handled, as well as make sure you tell them that Inside Arkansas sent you. Because when you do that, not only is it really cool and they're like, hey, we love Inside Arkansas too, but they throw on a 10% discount for you, 10% off of all their services. So you won't get a better deal than that. So do it with the best in the business, anything and everything plumbing related. No job is too big or too small. Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered. Give them a call today at 479-646-5585. Again, we're going to look at tomorrow's game a little bit more too as part of our Alumni Hall question of the day and get into that. But I feel like after yesterday and the day before, when we're talking about making the case for coaches, we got to do another one today. And this one I think is going to be a lot of fun. Some of them will be fun, some will be boring because they're boring people. But today it's going to be pretty fun. So let's go ahead and talk about our guy John Gruden. You know John Gruden, the guy that's been rumored for the Arkansas job for over a decade. It seems like all the time. And the reason that we chose John Gruden today is because there was a story that came out about John Gruden and getting interested in coaching and everything. And of course, you know, he's with Barstool Sports and does the deal with Pardon My Take. But he went on Pardon My Take and said that he's been preparing himself. The quote was, "I absolutely love football. I love it. And it's pretty much all I have. I have an office. For the people that don't know, I got a server in there. I just put a lot of money into that server that collects all the film and allows me to study them. Who knows what will happen? But I'm preparing myself, as always, to coach. But behind the scenes, we're getting plenty of football, I can promise you." And of course, everyone took that. So guys, John Gruden, next head coach of Arkansas, your thoughts?
John Gruden is already ahead of Arkansas's scouting and analytics department because of the server that he has in his office. He's in there. He's already portal prepped. He's watching film on every one of these guys. He's got it all figured out. He already has his quarterback picked out. He already knows who it's going to be. You're replacing Taylor Green. So he's already got a jump start on everything there. I mean, listen, for us, this would be awesome, right? I mean, first of all, the passion fits, and that's what I like. It's just, it would be nonstop entertainment. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It would be great for our content. There's no doubt about that. He'd get a good quarterback. I don't have any doubt about that. It would end in a beautiful disaster. I also have no doubt about that. So it would be just an absolute wild ride. It would get you the type of publicity and exposure and attention that, we weren't really necessarily used to when John Calipari first got here. Remember how we were like, man, this is kind of different. In a way, it would be sort of like that with just kind of the circus that would go around with all of it. Maybe NIL wouldn't be as big of a deal because he would probably have his boys over there helping him out. Would Dave be willing to dip into that Michigan fund a little bit and help him out, sweeten the pot a little bit? So you wouldn't have to worry about paying somebody a huge buyout to get him, So like there's some things there. For me, I think it would be just pure entertainment. And how would it translate to the football field? I bet it would be pretty damn exciting for a year or two, and things might get really, really weird. It's just a matter of how exciting it gets, because it might be a trade-off that I'm willing to make. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Razorback fans want. And, if you're thinking of things that you want to accomplish with this new head coach, one, you want to create a ton of attention for yourself. You want the nation to be paying attention to what you do, which currently they're really not. I know without a shadow of a doubt, John Gruden would accomplish that. People would be paying attention to Arkansas. I also have pretty close to zero doubt. You mentioned him getting a good quarterback. I have zero doubt in the idea that he would be able to generate a ton of NIL money. That I think that they would be able to create a roster. They would have a chance to talk to some recruits that maybe they wouldn't have had a chance with before. And so that's interesting to me. Hog fans also want winning, and they also want stability. And those are two things that I can't guarantee. And could they win some games if they get a good roster in here? Absolutely. Hell, I mean, we just saw Dion go 10-3 or 9-3 with a complete makeshift roster that they made basically all through hype and NIL and whatever. So I think there's something like that John Gruden could do at Arkansas. The stability, you would be sacrificing all the stability, which is why I think a lot of Hog fans are very skeptical of this and probably should be. But I think if the situation that Arkansas is in, the John Gruden move would be about trying to make a big splash, trying to make a huge buzzworthy thing. And I think there's something to that. I would be more interested to hear, he talks about he's watching film. I would be more interested to hear who have you been talking to that's going to be part of your coaching staff? Because as I know we're kind of joking with this, it does seem like John Gruden is trying to make another run at coaching, whether that be NFL or college. What is his staff going to look like? What are some of the ideas he has? I'd actually be interested to hear it. I'm very, very skeptical that it would really work out, but I think it's something if you're in Arkansas's situation, you pretty much have to consider, because I mean, there's 9 openings or whatever. There's 7 openings right now. You're going to end up getting one of the last picks there, and if one of those last picks is John Gruden, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for the university to not talk themselves into it, knowing that it would be a very easy layup to get a ton of money and a ton of attention.
Well, my thing is, like, because I agree with you guys, it's a matter of, well, let's just try to look at this in the reality of John Gruden calls up the board or your check or the donors or whatever, his agent does, however it is. And he's like, hey, I want the job. I want to be the next head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. If it's within your means, if it like makes sense financially, makes sense to where you can make it work, to where not only can you get him a salary and get his coaching staff enough money, but also with the NIL and all that, if all of that can work and Gruden wants the job, I want you to give it to him, because it's not like I think he's going to come in and win a national championship. I don't know. He could be a disaster, as you talked about, Curtis. Like it could go badly in a year and a half. It could. But it's one of those things, like, do you really want to like miss out on just the chance maybe to make that splash? You know, just the chance to say, hey, you know, we went and hired John Gruden, because that's what kind of the messaging, at least I know some fans are wanting that, like, hey, we got to show everybody that we're serious. We got to show everybody that we do have money and that we do things. Is John Gruden the serious candidate that maybe some other would be? Maybe not, but the attention being paid, the energy, the passion, the everything to go along with it, leading up to the actual game itself, would be a level you haven't seen before. Like, I don't know if there's many other coaches that could do that. And I would just think it'd be a fun experiment. And if it doesn't work out, you know, it doesn't work out. You've had coaches that haven't worked out previously, and I know you got to get it right, but I'd be remiss if I didn't get upset if I found out that they could have hired John Gruden, you know, and made it work, but they chose not to, just because of the things that surrounding him. But you know, he hasn't been a college football coach in a long time, but he has been surrounded by football. Even when he was on Monday Night Football, he was talking about football. He's been surrounded by it. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been successful at both Tampa Bay and Oakland, now Vegas. So I don't know. I feel like you could do a lot worse. You could take the risks. You could roll the dice and see what happens. I'd be all for it.
Inside Arkansas got me feeling nicey. Mike Washington, stiff arm, spin move. A cloud of dust turns into a first down. Boom.
I'm having a hard time understanding how there are people being dead serious that are listening to us talk about this and are like angry. Like they're actually upset about this, where they're like, and again, I think it's just being misinterpreted as though we're like saying, hey, Gruden should be number one, or hey, they should do this thing. I think when we're talking about all these candidates, we always view it through like, could this coach have success at Arkansas? And it's like, well, yeah, but what's the context? What is the staff going to look like? What's the roster going to look like? We just don't know. And with John Gruden, we don't know any of these things either. Like I see a lot of discussion about what kind of roster he'd bring in. That's the thing. We don't know. How much NIL money would he bring in? We don't know. But our imaginations can really run wild, where I feel like with a lot of these other coaching candidates, there's really not a ton of imagination. Like they're going to kind of do things their way. It's going to be pretty traditional, and it doesn't seem like it's going to move the needle that much. I think Gruden actually would have a chance to get Arkansas drastically above what they should be or drastically below what they should be. And he'll probably do both throughout his tenure. But I think it would be a very like bold move for Arkansas if they just went all in on this. And if, by the way, if you're going to do the Gruden route seriously, it would take the entire university buying completely in and just saying, hey, we're embracing this. We're going to go to Saudi. We're going to get our money. We're going to do whatever. But like, we have to really embrace this. And that's why it's ultimately not going to happen, is because the University of Arkansas is never going to do something risky like that in any way, shape, or form. But I do think it's a fun conversation to have. And I also would be interested to hear, like, if he's going to end up hiring some big-time OC, big-time DC, and have some analysts on staff, it's like, dang, like that's gonna be something I'm like, damn, I wish we were a part of.
Yeah. I would say he's probably not in my top 5 of, you know, like if I did a hot board of Curtis's favorite candidates or whatever for this job, but he might be number 1 in terms of what would maybe excite me, you know what I mean? Or like entertain me the most. And that matters to me because for years I have not been entertained. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just love the idea of it. And, you know, because there'd be some possibilities, which again, I agree with you, Andrew, you know, yeah, they'd have to go all in on it. But who knows? Maybe it'd be like, hey, well, part of this deal is that, you know, Barstool and Dave Portnoy is going to fund a ton of NIL to you, you know, or you know, some other entity is gonna help you out outside of, you know, the state of Arkansas. And that could really, you know, if you're struggling with money as much as you are, or you're trying to make it sound like you are, it's like, hey, those would be the times where you could, you know, have people to count on and everything. And to make it work. And I also I think it's dumb if people try to compare this to like it'd be disaster because look at Deion Sanders. I was like, okay, Deion Sanders was not like you're talking about Gruden, who coached in the NFL for many years and won a Super Bowl and was highly successful. It's like Deion kind of was working his way up in the coaching tree, where in John Gruden's case, like he was at the top and succeeded at it. That does not mean it'll translate. I'm just saying you got to look at it in a different perspective. But who knows? Maybe we talked about his assistant coaches and staff. I was looking at some of the coaches that he's had under him before when he was in the NFL. Maybe they'd bring in Brian Callahan, or maybe they'd have Mike Tomlin, you know, Raheem Morris, Jay Gruden, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Nathaniel Hackett. You know, maybe those guys can just jump in. Zach Taylor, maybe they just jump in and be a part of it. I don't know, but again, it would be fun. And I just don't. And I think all it would take is for a lot of Razorback fans, the hire to get made. And then if he has a couple splash assistants, but in that press conference, you know, he would own that press conference, man. You know, he would own. He's been the Arkansas Razorbacks. What is this? A hog? Who doesn't get excited about a Razorback? Like everyone loves the Razorbacks. Like he would talk about Darren McFadden and everyone would be like, yes, this is our man. This guy gets it. He just gets it. He's a Darren McFadden guy. That's all
he would absolutely be able to win the room in those settings. He does it with every fan base that he opens those gear boxes for, you know, so he understands it from that perspective. His son would absolutely be on the coaching staff. There's no doubt about that. Between him and Juicebox as your strength and conditioning staff, Arkansas will be out there looking like the American Gladiators. Okay. So you gotta put that into account also here. I didn't realize, so he's 62 years old. I had no awareness of how old Gruden was, so I looked it up there quick. But what did Cal say the other day at SEC Media Day? That biologically they tell him he's 48.
Yeah,
that's probably how I feel about Gruden. You know.
Yeah, I also think it's worth noting that. And by the way, like it's crazy. I'm just reading the chat and how many people like truly think that like we're like arguing that Gruden should be the head coach at the University of Arkansas. But no, like I think if you're going to do this thing, you also have to understand like this isn't a long-term 5-10 year thing where like any other head coach that you hire, whether they're 35 or 65, you're thinking about the future. You're thinking about 5-10 years from now. With Gruden, you just cannot do that. And you should not do that. Like, frankly, I think it should be almost a year-to-year thing. You'll have to hire him to a multi-year contract or whatever, but it's like, I think it really should be viewed through that lens of, and by the way, in this day and age of college athletics, we always do this thing where we say, oh, if they mess this up, it'll set them back 9 years. It'll set them back 6 years. And I think we've proven at this point that that's not a real thing, right? Like that's not a thing that happens to any program. You could be literally 2-10 the year before, have a great portal class, have a new coach, and go 9-3. Hell,
look at you, Indiana,
at Auburn pre-NIL. He literally went 3-9 to the national title game at Auburn with no NIL. Like the idea that anything would ever set you back 5 to 10 years is not a real thing. And so I think that would be the lens you would have to also be talking yourself into is like, hey, we're going to go all in. We're going to spend $30 million on this class. We're going to go all in for this year. And if it doesn't work, we're going to go all in again next year. We're just going to keep kind of doing that. It would have to be kind of a stopgap before you found something else.
All right, I want to bring up another final thing on John Gruden because I know everyone's loving it here in a second. But I want to remind everybody that the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas is one of our newest sponsors and partners here with Inside Arkansas because your vision is essential to your quality of life. We all like to see, right? Well, they have the professional eye care that will be a must for you and your family with their award-winning eye doctors and board certified and professionally active. They always talk about how their patients talk about how caring and friendly they truly are. And they're able to perform cataract surgery for you before the end of 2025, which the end of the year is nearing really quickly. So make your holiday season be in full clear view. They have refractive surgery for patients struggling with their readers, their glasses, or even their contacts. They have surgery options for everybody. And you got to make sure you utilize your FSA benefits before the end of the year as well. They have availability for those eye exams with their new provider, Dr. Rebecca Brown, and also do Botox and filler and IPL with their aesthetics provider, Olivia Risch. So make sure you get it done. Don't put it off anymore. Don't say, well, I can see fine as long as I squint and as long as I, am not first waking up and as long as I do this. No, don't even worry about that anymore. Have the treatment and get the treatment you need. Schedule an appointment with the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas today at 479-442-2020. That's 479-442-2020. You can also check out the website at eyecenternwa.com. It's the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas, official partner here of Inside Arkansas. All right, guys. So we talked about it yesterday with Dan Mullen and James Franklin and everything. And now with the Gruden talk, because I know we'll get to some chats and everyone's got their opinion on it, but ceiling floor type thing. I know there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding it, but it's like, what could possibly be a ceiling for John Gruden if he was the head coach at Arkansas?
I think my answer is going to be the same with every single guy that we talk about here, which is if it's done right and the right things are put in place in terms of the resources and support and all that, the next guy should be able to get Arkansas to the next step, which is right where we want them to be, man. Get to that 8, average that 8 win mark per year. And every 3, whatever, then you get to pop off a little bit, get double-digit wins, start sniffing the playoffs, see if you can do something a little bit crazy. I don't see why he couldn't do that if he had all the things in place. I think the question for Gruden would be, what would that floor look like, maybe comparatively speaking, and when would you find it? But yeah, in terms of the ceiling, I don't see a reason. It's tough because he doesn't have the all the head coaching experience in college and everything like that, so you never really know how it's going to go. But in terms of knowing ball and everything from that standpoint, I don't see why he couldn't get you there.
So, in my opinion, I'm going to start with the floor. I think you look at what's happening at North Carolina with Belichick. The floor for Gruden at Arkansas would be something a slight step below that, and UNC is about to go like 2-10 and get blown out every game. Arkansas's floor would be about that. Like it literally could not be a lower floor, frankly. But in terms of the ceiling, I got to be honest with you. And Curtis, you kind of mentioned how the lens we view it through with some of these coaches where we're like, all right, if you could just be 7-5, 8-4 for a few years, and then maybe you strike. For me, I feel like it would have to be a complete flash in the pan. Everything kind of comes together in his first or second year.
Yeah, that's
go
a good
out
point.
maybe you go out and get that Cal quarterback, that freshman that has the name that I can't pronounce. That's like, a future first-round pick. Maybe you pluck someone like that. You throw it. There's a lot of excitement. You get a bunch of people in the state to put their money. You go out and get like the number 2 or 3 portal class in the country, and you're just like, hey, Gruden's here. They're doing it. And Arkansas goes 9-3, and they're like on the edge of the playoff. Like I think that would be a legitimate ceiling, but I also think the floor could also happen the very next year. Like I think both those things would be in play.
I think that's actually a good point, Andrew, because you might be right that maybe he could get them to where they're trying to go for a second. Like the sustainability would be the biggest question for me. I think that's well said.
So you think it'd be like the Eric Musselman type hire, where it's just like very short-lived, but gets you to a level,
And with Muss,
in
there
a
was
way,
at least Muss was at least building something that was built to last. Like if Muss had just stayed at Arkansas for 10, 12 years, they would have been pretty solid, consistent. You know what I mean? Like, and honestly, I really don't think it would take John Gruden. If whatever the best case scenario for John Gruden would be, I don't know what that could be. It might actually be 6-6. I actually don't think it would take that long to get there.
Maybe it's the Hubert Davis. Year one, it's like, wow, man, they're in the playoff. They're in the chat. This is crazy. And then, within the next several months and in a couple years, you're like, oh, I don't know about this.
Well, yeah, because to me, I'll put it this way, which I think is kind of what you guys were saying. John Gruden, of all the coaching candidates, which how realistic is it? We don't know. But of all the coaching candidates, he, to me, is the highest risk, highest reward coach of them all. Where I could see Arkansas going 2-10 being disaster level crap like what's going on in North Carolina. But I could also see them being a team that's got so much talent and doing a good job, kind of like flirt with the playoff even. But the one thing I think we are all in agreement is it doesn't have a long-term longevity type feel to it no matter what. Like we're talking 3-4 years tops kind of have a feel to it, which would that be enough? Sure. Because it's a matter of what do you do in those 3 to 4 years? Do you go from 4 wins to 6 wins to 10 wins? Or do you go from, like you were talking about injury, like 9 wins and then I got down to 7 and oh crap, it's falling apart on us. Like, it's just a matter of what it looks like, but still high risk, high reward. It would be great for the excitement and the energy. I would love to see it, but man, I think it'd also be fun just to like, imagine if he hit to that, like that ceiling, that type of playoff, in the mix of it, or even made it. These Razorback fans would be on another level. Like, could you imagine him at like SEC football media days and stuff, coming off of a playoff, or, him doing those sideline halftime or whatever interviews, things like that. Imagine Arkansas having a playoff game here in Fayetteville, and everyone's just, even though they're going to get cooked by Ohio State or whatever, everyone's just losing their minds. I mean, it would be so fun to do all that anyways, but it'd be extra fun to do it if John Gruden was your head coach. Like, I guess is where I'm at. It's like that extra icing on the cake if he was the dude. Man. Yeah. John Gruden's going to be next head coach. I've already convinced myself. It's going to be.
There would be a very high likelihood of sanctions, like I'm sure Arkansas would break some type of rule. I know the rules are a lot more lax. They would break them. There would also be a good chance that like he would end up getting fired for cause because of something, something stupid happened.
Yes. Is his lawsuit against Roger Goodell still a thing? Did they get that all figured out, or yeah?
That by the way, that one thing I guess we should also, if we're doing the Gruden conversation, his last job in the NFL, he was fired for weird reasons, right?
Yes.
Emails will get you, man.
Emails. And it was a very weird thing. It wasn't like as crazy as some other things that we've seen, but like that would be another thing that Arkansas would kind of have to consider as the public perception of like, hey, how do you have Bobby Petrino as your interim, which we're all cool with and nobody really cares about. You're going the Gruden route. It's like you're really basically saying, hey, we don't care. We're just rolling with it.
Yeah, because what I just looked up the story, because apparently on May 25th, 2022, a Nevada judge threw out a bid from the NFL to dismiss the case. But as far as everything else, of course, he resigned and everything. And hey, listen, Gruden was removed from the Buccaneers Ring of Honor, where he had been inducted in 2017. But in February of 2025, he was reinstated. So if the Buccaneers Ring of Honor can forgive him, then I think everybody should. So either way, yeah, that's definitely something. Like I said, it would never lack like craziness. People would be hitting up that hotline for NIL collectives or whatever it is, like tattletaling on John Gruden, because he wouldn't be able to keep his mouth shut. He wouldn't do it with subtly. He'd just be out letting everybody know.
You remember when he was at the Touchdown Club and he was like, man, one of the main reasons I never coached in college is because I knew I would get caught cheating like right away. He's like, but now I can literally just pay the players. So he's like, honestly, I'm a lot more intrigued by it. And I think that's a real thing. I think he was kind of in jest there, but like, I do think that's a thing that he is considered as like, hey, this new world of college football is built for a slime bag. I'm a slime bag. I could make this work.
Yeah. It'd just be too good of a fit. He's going to be coaching somewhere. Can we all agree that he will be a coach somewhere like next year? Whether it's college, NFL, something?
I think he will. He's been kind of planting these seeds for a while now. Now, who knows how serious it is, but it's like he did the Georgia thing where he went to Georgia and was like, man, I want to coach in the SEC so bad. Every time someone puts a mic in his face, he says he wants to coach in college, wants to coach in the SEC. What does that look like? I don't know, but I bet he lands somewhere.
Yeah, I think so too. Want to remind everybody here on Inside Arkansas Live, we have a real estate expert, and it is Gracie Frizzell of Collier and Associates right here in Arkansas. She's licensed in both Arkansas and in Oklahoma, and she's here to take care of all of your real estate needs, whether you're looking for that investment property or maybe you're looking for a game day getaway, because we know a lot of Razorback fans who watch and listen to us. They're outside the state of Arkansas, but they come down for games, football games, basketball games, baseball games. It's pretty tough to go out there and get you an Airbnb at times, or even find you a hotel that's affordable. So why don't you go ahead and get yourself a property that you can have right here in Fayetteville, and you can make it your stay each and every game day. Also, land investment or a new home, no matter what it is, Gracie is your trusted guide from start to finish. So give her a call today at 501-690-3868. That's 501-690-3868 for all questions on real estate. You can also check out our Instagram at Gracie Frizz. It's Gracie Frizzell of Collier and Associates, the official real estate expert of Inside Arkansas. All right. So, enough for we got the Grood. We didn't play the Hey Grood thing that was always so famous from 2012. Maybe we should, or 2013. Maybe we should have. Our guy Tyler Davis being a part of that. But I told Tyler, by the way, that if Gruden became the head coach, it was like those three guys, they have to redo it. Like they have to do an updated version of it to talk about Hey Grood. So, but also in our final coaching voting for this week, folks, it's been finalized. There was no major movement, but Bobby Petrino is still going to be your head coach, according to the fans. He was the number one guy. And then, of course, followed by Dan Mullen, still right there, followed by James Franklin, followed by John Sumrall, followed by Alex Golish. So there's your top five after this week. We'll see.
Where's John Gruden?
John Gruden officially, he didn't get as many votes as he did last week. I'm wondering if people just were maybe not taking it as seriously and thinking that John Gruden was the guy. But John Gruden, when it was all said and done, which, by the way, over 3,500 votes, mind you, John Gruden ended up with 7% of a vote. So, that's as far as ranking goes, that would be he's receiving votes at, I think, number 8 overall. Okay. So, but all it's going to take is him saying something about Arkansas this weekend on Twitter or something, and then that vote's going to be blowing up. It's going to be absolutely blowing up. So, appreciate everybody's voting and getting into that as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into your chats because I'm sure they're great and I'm sure you guys are excited about it too. Super chats get read first. Christopher Brown said, Coach Orgeron, think it could work. I don't know why.
I would
head coach. Nah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Coach Orgeron on the staff. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not, man?
If you were, by the way, if Gruden's creating a staff, which that's something they talked about on Pardon My Take, hey, get Ed Orgeron at D line. I wouldn't hate that, but yeah, no, I don't. That would be another case of Arkansas hiring a guy that no other SEC team is even considering.
Yeah, is he? You guys think he's the worst coach to ever win a championship?
Chiswick is worse.
You think? Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, Chiswick has to be either him or what was it, Larry Coker over at Miami? Like Butch Davis goes to the NFL to the Browns. He just walks into the greatest college football team ever assembled and wins a title. It's like, man, I think anybody could have won a title there, but he's definitely up there. Let's see. Also, what in the world? Chakota says, John, I triggered the man leaders with the repost of your the Yale leaders.
Yeah.
Okay. For some talking about like the Razor, like people in Arkansas, the leaders there. It's like, why would they be upset by that? Also, Chakota says the only tornado happening tomorrow is BMFP and Talon spinning that thing tomorrow.
Love that. That's good energy right there. We need that.
Does Talon Green you think he has larger hands than Marcel Reed?
I wouldn't know.
They measure hand size at the NFL.
You know who would know? John Gruden.
It's true.
John Gruden would know. Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting because when you have the larger hand size, it usually leads to better accuracy long term. But also in a situation like this where the ball might be a little slippery, if you can't fully grip that football, I feel like Talon's probably got pretty large hands.
I feel like Talon will find a way to fumble it anyway, but
he will.
You're
have large hands when he grasps it out and holds it out like a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Got to stop doing that. I don't know why. I guess it's like, because I've always wondered with quarterbacks doing it, because Matt Jones did it all the time. People's like, oh, it's coaching. It's like, I think it's honestly, at least my opinion is just as your quarterback, you're always wanting that option, whether you're going to throw it. And then sometimes once you start running, you don't even consider about like, oh, I should tuck this in. It's more of just like, he's still in the mode of like, I could throw, even though they're not. I just always thought it was just something they forgot about. But yeah, start tucking the ball, my man. Start tucking the ball. Shout out to Mike Adams, says, hey guys, watching from Kazakhstan. Great show.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. It's like I want to know this backstory of I have assumptions of why you're there, but you never know.
This
maybe been on vacation.
Is not.
Did you guys ever see the second Borat, by the way?
Dude, I didn't. And I laughed at the first one shamefully.
Oh, dude, I did. Yeah, it's hilarious. It was great. But it was like one of those things. It's like you can't you shouldn't do sequels on most movies, but like that one's like, hey man, you can't redo it. You especially when you're like pranking people and like doing all that, you just can't do the same thing. So yeah. The first one though is always the OG.
That's cool. I mean, I want to know why he's like, are you like stationed there or just there?
That's what I assumed.
I don't think he's vacationing.
Yeah, like what's going on? So,
I'd say he's not over there visiting a loved one. I mean, it could
that's
happen.
Cool though. I don't know what time it is in Kazakhstan, but
is it Kazakhstan or Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan for sure.
Man, it sounded so cool.
I was gonna let it slide, but like no, it's definitely.
Well, we're about accuracy and about getting our words right here on this program, so we got to make sure calling out. Let's see. Omri says, if BP pulls this one off, does it mean more than Sam's win over number 4, Tennessee, I assume? Or is it the same path in front of us? So confused on how much value to give these games, win or loss.
I would say that Sam Pittman's win over number 4 Tennessee saved his job for almost a year. And if Bobby Petrino beats number 4 Texas A&M, I still don't think it would guarantee him a job moving forward. So it might have been bigger for Sam, honestly. We'll see what happens.
I would slightly argue for Petrino, but here's the only reason why. I don't think Arkansas wanted to fire Sam last year. Like, I think they were, even if he had gone 5-7
this year.
No, I'm fair. I think if they had gone 5-7 last year, maybe they would have fired him. But like, I think that honestly, Yurachek didn't want to fire him, and then the Tennessee game kind of gave him a, all right, I don't have to do it. Whereas like this would actually maybe turn the tide. You know what I mean? And you could argue, of course, last year's game did turn the tide in favor of Sam, but like, I think this would be pretty crazy. You know, like, whereas like Sam Pittman not getting fired last year is kind of what a lot of people involved wanted to happen. Bobby winning this game, and of course, like you said, he'll have to win maybe a few more. But like, I feel like this one we might look back on and be like, damn, that was a bigger long-term win.
Well, because I would say too, like last year when you beat Tennessee, you were 4-2. Like this, I'm going to get pissed again. You were 4-2, entering into the bye week. Your 2 losses had been to Oklahoma State in double overtime, which was at the time it wasn't as bad of a loss, but it was still a bad loss. And then you lost to A&M 21-17. So it's like there was still the feeling of like you're a good team. You'd already beat Auburn on the road, like all of that. Going to the bye week, you get LSU at night, and then you just crap your pants. So it's like that was different this time around. It's like Arkansas, I don't think there's any charade that they're a good team. But in the same case, kind of like we talked about earlier this week, Texas A&M might be the best team left on your schedule. Where last year's like, well, I mean, Tennessee was great, but you still had LSU, who was really good. You had Texas, who was really good. You had Ole Miss, that was really good. So, I mean, I don't know, but I'm with you. I think if Bobby wins this game, they're not going to take the interim off. But setting up for Auburn and Mississippi State after that, very easier games to win. It could set them up for that moving forward. So, see, I don't know what pisses me off more. Arkansas, or pisses me off about Sam Pittman. The only times I ever was really mad at Sam Pittman was last year in that LSU game because of that bye week, or the Notre Dame game this year, because we will never see in the rest of our lifetimes Notre Dame coming to Fayetteville, and it was one of the worst losses of all time. I don't know what's going to make me matter, but either way. Let's see. Timothy says, why in the world do we think Gruden will get NIL money? Like, what actual evidence do we have that makes people think that? Or is it just we hope because he has a podcast?
There's definitely no evidence. Like, there's no like,
evidence
there
for
also is
anyone.
there's also no evidence for anything. You know what I mean? Like, there was no evidence that UNC was going to spend a ton of money on NIL. But then, of course, hiring Bill Belichick, you're going to spend a lot of money. And of course, that didn't work out for them. So I'm also not arguing that it's a foolproof plan that's going to work out. We don't know that for sure, of course. But I think one could reasonably assume it's all about the people in the state of Arkansas and who the people in the state of Arkansas are more likely to give their money to. Not saying the people in the state of Arkansas are stupid, but sometimes you need like really obvious people that they've heard of before. And people in the state of Arkansas have heard of John Gruden. So I could see old rich guys being like, hey, I'll give my money to a Super Bowl winning coach. I won't give my money to this young up and comer. So is it a real factual thing of like, yeah, John Gruden would definitely have one of the most expensive rosters in college football? No, but I also don't think John Gruden would come to Arkansas for just a ho-hum NIL budget.
Yeah, and you also got to consider who he knows and who his connections are, and his relationship with a huge national brand and outlet there versus the guy who coaches at Tulane or whatever. Like, Sumar might be a better coach, and he would have to fully rely, I think, on the boosters and donors to fund that operation. And John Gruden wouldn't necessarily have to do that. He would need it, certainly, but he'd have a better opportunity of getting some funds elsewhere also.
Yeah. And I like this from Aussie. He's like, we're doomed to have a senior citizen coach. It cracks me up how like,
old.
Yeah, like, but I get it. It's like you want someone young, but at the same time, I'm like, why? Who cares if they win? Like that's my deal. It's like I don't care how old they are. Like
there definitely is like there's a lot of young guys that are like technically candidates for this job that Arkansas fans just will not consider no matter what. Like I feel like any of the coordinators who are young, Hog fans just do not want to hear that. And I'm kind of with you, Austin. Like I would be interested in hearing some of those names, but Hog fans just will not accept it. You cannot have a conversation that involves Will Stein or Blake Baker or any of those young guys.
Yeah. I mean, I just like, I think you can find coaches that are good in either regard, if it's just the right guy. But I don't know, because Brett Bielema was a young guy at the time when he took the job. It doesn't always just equate to that level of success, but things are different now. I totally understand. But see, also, Filthy Tom says Eric Morris is solid, but he has unfortunate last name, which makes him disqualified for the job.
He's a solid coach. Honestly, if that game last week would have been reversed and they would have smacked Golish around instead of getting smacked around, I felt like we would have been talking about him this week. Like all of a sudden he would have been on the top 5 of our votes and everything. Instead, they gave up 63 to South Florida at home, and it's crazy how one game can do that to a guy. But he is a hell of a coach. He'll be a P4 coach at some point here.
He's pretty young too, right? Like
early
40s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like he was like one of the coaches where I looked at it, because I know we put up our big board, our hot board of coaches from different categories and all that. And he was not what I anticipated him looking like. I kind of had an idea, but then I saw him, I was like, that's not what I expected at all. He's an interesting looking cat. So
yeah, he definitely was. Well, and I felt the same way about Golish. Well, I didn't feel the same way about his look, but when I was watching that game and he did his first sideline interview, and so I heard him for the first time, I was like, oh, what the heck? So that was kind of weird, but whatever.
I wish Golish were more Russian, frankly.
Same. And that would be kind of cool. But maybe he can work on that, though. If he becomes Arkansas's coach, he can go to a dialect coach or something like that.
You become more Russian as you transition to Arkansas.
We would like a more Russian-sounding coach here at Arkansas, please. So make sure you work on that. Brian Kelly did his whole family thing. You come out here, you're talking about Yakov Smirnoff or whatever, sounding like him, and make it work. that would be electric. That would be electric. We'll get to more of your chats and more stuff, folks, but want to remind everybody, Hickey & Hole Law is the official law firm here of Inside Arkansas. And we know divorce and custody cases, those things are extremely important because you're dealing with family, you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with things that matter a whole lot to you. Well, it matters to Hickey & Hole Law as well. That's why they're going to provide you with the persistent and diligent representation to guide you through that entire process, because they have handled thousands of family law cases and experienced nearly every scenario that has ever come up. They push the case forward for their clients, advocating for them in a diligent and consistent manner from start to finish. And they know that every case that they take is important, and they strive to give one of the utmost time and care to each one of those cases that it deserves. So have the Hickey & Hole Law offices help you out. Here in Arkansas, they have locations in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, and Mena. And you can call them today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. Or you can check out their website at hickeyandhole.com. Scan that QR code right there on your screen as well. It's Hickey & Hole Law. Things are about to get better. We'll also be looking into a little preview of the college football landscape this weekend, and also have a recruiting update from our guy Dudley Dawson. As there's, again, I was talking to Dudley. I'm just like, man, I appreciate you keep doing it, man, because there's just not a whole lot with the uncertainty of coaches, but had some decommitments and some things happen that Arkansas could play a factor into. So it's he's doing a good job with it. So appreciate him, appreciate his update he's going to have as well.
I guess one way to sell yourself for the job a little bit outside of winning your current football games is to get recruits to commit to you when there's just no guarantee that would be how can I say this without? No, I'll just say it. That would be a very questionable decision for any prospect to make, frankly. Like I know they got some kids coming here on campus who are flip candidates and everything like that this week. I think that's impressive that they have that. And maybe it's a situation to where you get them in here, you show them around. This is what we're all about. This is where we're trying to go. And yeah, if we keep the job, then come join us or whatever. But if you actually get guys to commit to you in the interim here, that's a statement making type of move there. I guess depending on, who it is or whatever, but it's a kid with other SEC offers or big conference offers. It'd be pretty notable. So keep an eye on it. I'd be surprised if anything happened before they made a decision, but you never know.
Yeah.
But that they're recruiting though. Like they're making an effort out there. Eric Mateos out there offering 2029 offensive linemen. It's like, good for you, dude.
Yeah. Well, it also makes me wonder about the funding. Like, are they just still allowed to take these trips and to do this recruiting stuff? Like, I guess, I assume they are, but I don't know. Time will tell. Let's see. CB says Curtis absolutely going off this morning, making me want to yell at my boss. Let's go.
I've had so many people who have messaged me about this morning's pot at the Palace. I got fired up, man. I just got completely off on a tangent, and I felt myself getting really pissed off. My ears were hot. I was turning red, and then I was just like, I got to get out of here. So I just cut myself off. I was like yelling at myself. I'm getting a little bit pissed off at the lack of attention that Arkansas is receiving. So it just got to me.
Classic Arkansas, man. Just always the disrespect, always doubting. Also, Pooh Bear the Prophet says Adonis and Darius Ratcliffe has Cal and Arkansas in their Final Four.
This is cool. This is good. I've seen a lot of people in the chat about this. There's only been 4 teams recruiting them for the longest. Then so I just find it funny that it's like, oh yeah, this is our Final Four, but it's for like the last few months. Every time you hear them talk about who's recruiting them, it's like, well, yeah, Arkansas and Alabama and USC and Texas, but some other schools have been out to watch them and everything. This is interesting because, Arkansas is on so many 5 stars and top 10 guys, and you're like, damn, who are they going to get? And then you look at the Ratliff twins, and they're both like 4 stars and, in the 40s and 50s or whatever. The upside and potential with these two is crazy. I mean, it's 2 7-footers, which you love to see, and they got to put on some weight for sure. But like the one kid, Adonis, he played literally matched up against Arafan Gian. John, you saw him in person, but the number 1 center in the country, who Arkansas is very much on as well. And he put 35 on his head, and he hit 9 threes on him. And this was like a week ago. So those guys are both kind of skyrocketing. They're twins. That's cool. I don't think Arkansas is going to get them unless they get them here for a visit before they try to make their decision in the next few weeks. And it sounds like they're working on a date. So between Big Arafan, the twins, whatever, it just seems like Arkansas is really motivated to add in the front court. And these 2 dudes will be a lot of fun for sure.
I always think about when I saw that guy that the Cal fantasy camp, and they had everybody out there cheering for him on a red carpet. I'm like, yeah, we're the ones that's really going to make him commit here to Arkansas. But it was just funny because everyone was just, when he got out of that 4x4 or whatever it was, everyone was like, good God. Like they had never seen a man that large before in their life. And dude was huge.
Enormous human being, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. One guy even said, he's like, I just feel I should apologize to him for even being here. Like, he's just so because he's intimidating too. Like, not in a bad way, but just he's a presence. He's a presence.
I asked somebody on staff, because I was like, okay, so you've been around them both at the same time. Who's bigger, Arafan or Elmer Zaffage? And they're about the same size, but that Arafan just got more muscle on him. And he's just like physically more intimidating. I'm like, good Lord, get him in here then.
Huge.
Yeah.
Who's like the last like big Arkansas's had? Like, I'm not talking about tall. I'm just talking about like, just you see a guy like that guy's huge. I mean,
like that.
Oh, not even like that.
Well,
even.
but
yeah, like I mean, Trey Thompson was a big dude.
Trey Thompson, but he was only like 6'9". You know
right,
what
that's what I'm saying. So like he was shorter but big. I mean, Darian Towns had a little bit of that to him for a bit, but he lost some weight. So
I mean, Stephen Hill was a big boy. He was a legit 7-footer.
Big dude. Yeah.
Which, by the way, random. I had Stephen Hill's cousin. He was DMing me the other day, and he was just asking me about stuff, and I had no idea who he was. But he's like, "Hey, by the way, man, love your stuff." It's like, "I'm Stephen Hill's cousin." I was like, "Wow." Yeah, I was like, "That's crazy." Shout out to Branson, Missouri, for Stephen Hill. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you got to go back to Big O or Dwight Stewart. What's that? We
got to get Stephen Hill on this program.
We do.
Can you imagine? Just get him before the Tennessee game or something.
That would be great. How about the Elastic Man, as they called him?
Yes.
That would be electric. Papa Dragon says, Curtis, did you see the Eyes on College Basketball SEC preview they put out today? I usually like Norlander, but he seemed frankly uninterested in talking about Arkansas during it.
No, Papa Dragon, I haven't seen it yet. We had an appointment with the little man this morning. I will watch it. I'll watch it this afternoon because I tune into all of their stuff. I really like those guys, Norlander and Parrish, a lot. Norlander is a notorious Arkansas fader and Calipari hater. So like that does not surprise me one bit. And I can feel myself getting mad again. But like he did that. They did their summer shoot around where they picked just 20 teams and they just talk about them for an episode. And he was super dismissive of Arkansas the entire time there. That's been his thing for years. He was right once, and he's just going to stick with it until the end of time.
That's the thing that like fuels me for this season more than anything is that every game that Arkansas wins, I know it's going to rub people the wrong way. Like, even if it's just normal, like, even if Norlander just has to acknowledge just a random, hey, Arkansas beat Michigan State, he doesn't want to do it. And so I think Bobby Dragon wording it that way is perfect because it's like he is uninterested in talking about Arkansas. He will when he has to, when they win a big game. That's what really fuels me. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, he even I remember he was in Fayetteville for that Duke game that year, and then I remember afterwards he was like, "Oh yeah, it's a nice atmosphere, or whatever." And it's like just kind of downplayed it. And then he did it again last year. I was sitting right behind him at Madison Square Garden for that Arkansas Michigan game, and it was electric in there. Like it was really cool. Everybody does the cliche about like, oh, it feels like an Elite Eight game or whatever in here. It really did. Like that was an awesome environment. And he was just like, no, I'm not gonna lie, the Jimmy V didn't have much pop to it. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Yeah, he's just not a fan, not picking up what Arkansas is putting down right now. But in fairness, you got two guys on the show, and Gary Parrish, he covered Cal for the longest when he was a beat writer from Memphis. So he usually picks us back up a little bit. He doesn't put up with that BS. So I appreciate Parrish for that. That's why he's my favorite on the show.
I'm telling you, like Arkansas is just never going to ever have like people that like them, because like even when they finally hire like some big name coach that might be the most interesting and most like talked about person, it's still like, nah, sucks. Like don't want to talk about it. Don't want to give. It's like, so it doesn't matter if you have a no name coach, they won't talk about you. If you have a good coach, but it's just he's not as interesting or he's not as fun, then you don't get talked about. Even when you have a big time coach that's really interesting and is getting all the big pub and recruits and all that. Nope, still, I don't want to talk about him. It's just sad. It's truly sad.
Like I don't get bothered when like Jeff Goodman does his thing because I don't take him all that seriously. But it bothers me a little bit with Norlander because he's really good at what he's really sharp as a college basketball analyst. I'm like, you need to love us, brother. What are we doing here? Whatever.
What about Fanta?
I love Fanta.
I do too. He's I used to hate him, but he's grown on me a little bit. Also, Dylan says, man, I cannot wait for next Friday. Get to watch Purdue dog walk Kentucky, and then I get to watch Arkansas whoop Cincinnati. It's going to be a great day.
It should be a fun day. Some really good exhibitions, man. Every single one of them that I've watched so far, the offense has been crazy. Like that Bama game that was on while we were doing our live stream last night, against Florida State, it ended 109-105 was the final score. Auburn and Oklahoma State, 97-95. I just have a feeling that this Arkansas-Cincinnati game is going to be played in like the 60s or 70s.
and no matter what, the Nashville guys are going to hate it, and they're going to say it's crap. It's going to be terrible.
Oh, no doubt.
Are we also done with the Mark Pope, John Calipari comparison graphics that like Field of 68 would put out every single time? Like ever?
Probably not.
Yeah.
We'll just have to make the NIL payroll graphics and put them right there.
Let's get wins per NIL dollar.
Yeah. That's going to be my new thing is we all know John Calipari's moniker for all those years that Kentucky fans gave him, and I'm just going to flip it around. John Calipari doing more with less.
Yeah, truly.
Dude, I just had
Blue Light Special Cow.
I had, and still I'm sure you did, Curse, but like Kentucky fans are still tweeting at me. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, sorry you're broke. I'm like, yeah, that's what the moral of this story is. Yeah, because Arkansas is broke and Kentucky has all the money. That's true. That's true. All right. We'll have some other things to talk about too, as well as looking at some college football. But want to remind everybody that here on the show, of course, our friends over at Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. Holiday season is upon us. We know the weather is going to be changing and Halloween's going to be here, but Christmas, that's usually the time to really go all out when it comes to your home and getting the lighting out there and making it look really good and make you be the talk of the neighborhood. I can tell you this, that there's no better person and no better group to help you out with it than Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, because they service all the Northwest Arkansas and River Valley area, and they're going to install the lights professionally and make it look great and make it be the way you want it. They provide the materials. You can get any color, any pattern, and they also install the lights themselves. They give you free maintenance, so if the light goes out or if a strand goes out, they'll take care of it for free. And they also do the takedowns themselves in January. So text our guy Brett for a free estimate at 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at walterchristmaslighting.com. You can also like them on Facebook by scanning the QR code on your screen as well. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. I wanted to also, this paddlefish one with talking about Signetti. I know Signetti signed a new deal, but wasn't there a coach that did that and still left anyway? I can't remember who.
Not a deal like this.
Yeah,
This
I was
was-
gonna say there definitely was. But yeah, not all contracts are created equal, I suppose.
Yeah.
And like if they're doing a thing where he gets like every penny if they, fire him for, without cause, with cause, whatever the hell it was, I guess without. I got to imagine that buyout for the protection on the back end is going to be crazy, right? Like I haven't seen the details there, but good grief.
Yeah, I would think so. Because I mean, seeing the numbers that he's getting, and like some people are arguing that he doesn't deserve it or he hasn't earned it. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I'm not here to talk about contracts and how much money people make, but if I was Indiana, it's like you're never going to get another coach like this. Like you cannot let him go. So do whatever it takes.
It's market value, man. You don't like we can feel however we want to feel about it. If there's another school that would pay him $11.7 million, that's the market value. That's what Indiana has to pay to keep him. And I think the fact that Penn State job opened up certainly helped here. But yeah, I think the fact that they went to him immediately with a contract extension and he immediately signed it speaks a lot for both parties and how committed they are to making this thing work in Indiana.
Yeah. And also too, like if you're a Razorback fan who wanted Signetti, if you found out that was the contract Arkansas signed with Signetti, I don't think any of you would care or be upset. Like you'd be like, hey, whatever it took, make it happen. But
Hog fans are under the impression that Arkansas is about to hire a coach for $3.5 million. So they would be stunned by that number, I'm sure.
That's true. That's true. Also, I wanted to bring this up too, because this is actually somebody who DM'd me on Twitter, a graphic, and I wanted y'all's take on it. And I want to bring it up before I forget about it. But it was about the night home games and the percentages. You guys see the percentages for SEC?
All this, yeah, that's a good thing to bring up here.
Yeah, so this is crazy, and this is coming from a Twitter account from Roy May 15, and he sounds legitimate to me. But the past 5 seasons, the percentage of night home games in the SEC, as far as compared to all the other home games that they've had. They did for each SEC team. Arkansas is dead last with 23% of their home games being at night. Less than a quarter of their games being at night. Now, somebody, I saw somebody tweet at me, they're like, well, you got to be good. You got to be a good football team to be up there. Do you? Because Georgia is second to last with 28% night games. 28%. And guess who's the team by far, not even close, that has the most night games of any home team?
LSU.
The LSU Tigers. Not even close. 83% of their home games the past 5 seasons have been at night. The next closest one, guys, South Carolina at 54%, over 30% more.
That's nuts.
That is wild, dude. That is wild. And we get LSU this year in a non-night game, right?
Yeah. So you're one of the 17%.
Like you, the proud.
Here's the thing is I get there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of, nuance, and you want to have quality games and all that stuff. But my buddy Brendan always make the joke. He's like, we should just make up the tradition here at Arkansas. I was like, hey, we have a tradition where we play night games at home. Like we'll just make it up. Say, hey, we got to play night games. Cause I feel like actually there's no feeling. That's why LSU gets 83%. Cause they're like, oh man, but night games, Baton Rouge.
It's definitely proof that narrative speaking works. Cause that is very much a thing. And it's like, I think the SEC thinks about it. And I'm sure it was like, I don't think the SEC set out to make it happen, but you're scheduling these games. Oh yeah, let's get a night game in Baton Rouge. Let's get a night game in Baton Rouge. That actually really annoys me.
I know. Cause it's like, it's, you start this narrative, and it's one of the toughest places to play, no doubt. Yeah, it's a great night game experience. But guess what? Most SEC venues at night are pretty cool especially when you're a good team. But I think it's crazy. I don't know what's crazier. The LSU has that many, or the fact that Georgia has 28%. How, if I was at Georgia, how are you not losing your mind? At least with Arkansas, I'd be like, hey, well, we haven't been very great. You've been the best team, arguably, over the past 5 years in the SEC, and you have almost as little night games at home than Arkansas.
Something, man.
It's a cultural thing, though, because remember, we thought this when we went to Athens in 2021. We all were kind of like, oh man, this is going to be a good thing for Arkansas. Those Georgia fans, they like that day slot for whatever reason. They seem to get up for 11 a.m. games. I don't know why.
I don't either. Like, it's like what we don't even like doing. Like, there's no game that you, I don't know. Like, I don't even like going to basketball games at 11 a.m. on a Saturday, like baseball games at 11 a.m. on a Saturday. That would suck. It's like, there's no sporting events I can think of that I prefer to not be at night. I mean, basketball, I guess it doesn't really matter as much because you're indoors, but like everybody loves night baseball games. Everybody loves that. But man, yeah, that just really boiled my nuggets seeing the fact that LSU gets 83%.
What was Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt's at 40%. It's again, like this is what's Tennessee, guys. Tennessee's at 31%. You can't tell me that Tennessee and Neyland Stadium doesn't have a raucous night atmosphere. 31%.
The more I'm thinking about it now that I'm really thinking about it, I don't know why LSU even plays FCS teams at night.
Yeah.
Because like I remember I've been to some LSU games where they played Louisiana Tech at 7:00 or they played McNeese at 6:30 or something like that. Now that like I've seen the numbers, it's kind of like blowing my mind the more I'm thinking about it. Like that is a drastic. It'd be one thing if it's like, hey, LSU's got a little bit more than everyone else, but like 60% difference is nuts.
Yeah. Well, and also too, I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull up the graphics so everyone see it. I should have done that, but people are asking about it, so we can go ahead and pull it up. But like another thing that was kind of surprising to me is seeing Kentucky at 53%. That's third. Like Kentucky has more night games. It's all over the place. It doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. So, but yeah.
Wow.
I know. Because I was trying to think of the Arkansas night games just over like last year you got lucky. You had 2 SEC night games at home with Tennessee and LSU. None of your non-conference games are ever at night, ever.
Never.
They're always at like 4:00 or 4:15 or whatever.
The only one I remember recently was BYU a night game or was it an afternoon that became night?
I think it was a night game. I feel like it was a night game. I also think they played Bobby Petrino's Missouri State team at night.
That a few years. That's right. That was a night game.
So it's basically like you get 2 a year. That's what it sounds like for Arkansas. It's like you get 2 night games a year, and sometimes it's FCS opponents, sometimes it's not.
Man,
but
they should get the one this year, right? Because it's just Missouri at night for Arkansas.
That's right. Yeah. So I was looking at BYU. You played at 6:30. That was a night game. You didn't play any other night games that year at home except for Florida International. That was a big one. And so you got that one. And the year before, Missouri State was at 6 p.m. as well. So, yeah, not very often is the point. And this game tomorrow is not going to be. And I guess the only night game is Missouri that you have in home this year. And
I mean, the percentages are what they are, but it is crazy that we're sitting here, going back 2, 3, 4 years, just trying to pull a night game here or there. And there's a school in this conference that gets 8 out of 10 of them.
Yeah, it gets 4 a year.
Yeah. What are we doing, man? It's crazy.
I know. Like I said, it's something that you can't have it to where it makes sense for everybody and everyone's happy, but the percentages are pretty insane. It's pretty insane. And, maybe the SEC needs to change something about that LSU nonsense because that's dumb. That's just really dumb. Because David's over here saying Sandstorm only goes hard at night. Okay, well, again, like what?
Pretty cool.
What was their percentage? South
They're
Carolina?
54.
Second.
Yeah. Okay. Second at 54 behind LSU's 83.
That's
because pretty much everybody else is between like 50 to 38, in that range. So half. But yeah, only Arkansas and LSU are really the main ones out there too. So we'll get to more of your chats and look at the college football landscape. Also want to remind everybody that we're presented by our friends at Alumni Hall. A week from today, by the way, we're going to be there live at Alumni Hall in Fayetteville at, of course, their great location in Fayetteville where they have all the stuff you could possibly imagine, whether it's hats, whether it's your polo shirts, the high-end stuff. They got it all at Alumni Hall. And some of you may not be able to make it here locally. And, maybe you live out of town and it's tough to get to. You don't make it to Fayetteville that often. Well, that's okay because they have this thing called buying online and having it shipped directly to your door. It's the newest thing. And if you go to insidearkansas.com/alumni hall, you can see all the apparel that they have. They have for men, for women, for kids. They have decor. They have hats. They have it all. So be sure to check it out at insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. Go to that link. You can also use code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. It's as simple as that. So check it out. With the ultimate Razorback shopping experience, it is Alumni Hall here in Fayetteville. And we did a little question of the day because I was just curious of where people's mindset was at for the Arkansas-Texas A&M game. Because it's not about, oh, the wins or loses, but it's like, what's the more likely thing to happen in this game for the Razorbacks? That they beat Texas A&M or they get destroyed by Texas A&M? And 62% of you said destroyed by Texas A&M is more likely than to actually beat Texas A&M. So I feel like, honestly, I would have said it was going to be higher than that, but sounds about right, though. Sounds about right.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree that that would be the more likely outcome. And it's a relatively close vote there. So it's not, it's just the same thing every week, though. Like, it's not crazy to think Arkansas could win this game.
No,
it's not crazy at all, but it's also highly unlikely given everything that we know about this football team. Like, any pathway to Arkansas winning this game involves, in my opinion, Texas A&M doing something very out of the ordinary for what they've shown the entire year.
Yeah.
They would have to slip back to their old habits that they always do. But I don't know.
The thing is, I just don't see any path. And I know we do this conversation a lot about, like, if it's going to be a blowout, who's going to win? I don't see any path to Arkansas beating A&M comfortably. Like, truly, I don't see any case for it. I don't see any path to it. I do see a path to Arkansas winning. And I think, we can argue about what that percent chance is, if it's 3%, if it's 10%, if it's 20%. But I think that there's a good chance Arkansas loses, and I think it's probably a coin flip of whether it's a double-digit loss or not. I just think A&M doesn't have a ton of weaknesses. They might not be super strong in every area, but they don't have a ton of, like, red flags. Like, at least with Tennessee last week, you kind of point and be like, man, that defense not great. Are we sure that's really gonna shut Arkansas down? A&M, I think, is pretty well rounded to where I think it's going to take a really inspired effort from Arkansas, and it's going to take A&M coughing some things up. But I think there's just like a 50-50 chance A&M beats Arkansas and does it pretty comfortably.
Yeah. I'll be honest. The reason I also did that question is I just don't see Arkansas losing close. I think it's going to be one or the other. I think they're either going to win or they're going to get destroyed. That's just how it feels like it goes for these games for Arkansas at home. Like, even they don't lose close even at home. It's I guess the closest they were was Texas last year, 20-10, but just doesn't happen that often. Okay, so get to your chats, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll have your recruiting update with Dudley here in a bit too. Tommy says, I'm listening to you guys while I'm on the road. Hogs win turnover battle this weekend and beat A&M. So there you go. There's the one.
It's funny because you hear that and you're like, okay, well, listen, Tommy, it's not that simple, but maybe it is, because every loss that they have, it's because of these stupid turnovers, man. There are other parts involved with the defense stinking it up, missed it. You name a million different things, but yeah, if you take those away or actually generate some for a change, could make a pretty sizable difference in a game that the spread is a touchdown right now.
This Arkansas team is almost ruining my theory that turnovers are basically dumb luck, and that are like kind of just a not stable metric. Interceptions are a little bit more stable because that's a quarterback making a bad decision. But like I've always kind of felt that like turnovers are kind of a iffy, thing that kind of go one way or the other. But it really doesn't go one way or the other for Arkansas. They do not force turnovers at all. And so I'm with you. What would that even look like? Arkansas winning the turnover battle? I think if they do win the turnover battle, they'll win some games. But it's like, man, I'm done waiting on that of like, oh yeah, the other shoe's going to drop. They'll eventually start forcing some turnovers. I just don't think this defense is built that way.
No, not at all. And also too, it's like, I'm not trying to revisit all the bad things, but it's like, like Mike Washington, when he fumbled against Memphis, that was his first fumble in his career. Braylon Russell, like one of his first, I think it was his first fumble.
Yeah, first career fumble.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not even like, oh, you're just, it's Taylon Green out there being careless. Cause it's like, well, yeah, that would make sense. But you're talking about two guys, which I know Braylon's only a sophomore, but it's like two guys who don't fumble the ball ever. And they fumbled. It's still just like, man, brutal stuff.
Arkansas ranks 121st nationally in turnover margin, 15th in the SEC. Can you guess who they are ahead of?
Kentucky.
No.
I'm going to say it's going to be like somebody random, like Alabama or something. I don't know.
It is Oklahoma.
Interesting.
And I've heard that about how good their defense is, but they just didn't generate any takeaways whatsoever. So
interesting.
Yeah. They have they only have 2 takeaways all season.
Damn.
In 9.
How many is ours? 3?
6. So they get a couple on. They got a couple on Arkansas State, right? And
that's right. There was somebody else.
And then they have Arkansas has 6 fumbles and 5 interceptions this year.
Golly, man.
6 fumbles that they lost and 5 interceptions.
Yeah, because that's also too. If like you added, I think Arkansas's opponents. I think there's at least been 2 that I can think of where the opponent fumbled it, but Arkansas just didn't get it. Like it was recovered. So just brutal. Let's see. Talking about night games, Dylan says, imagine how mid it would have been if they would have said battles deep into the day. Yeah, true.
That's pretty good.
True. Yeah, it's deep into the sunlight, the horizon. Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same. Stripius Wigs also said, we have also shot ourselves in the foot with War Memorial State and Dallas games. So if we played both those games at home and home, we would probably be a little bit higher. Okay, but even if you were a little higher, it's still not much. Like, also,
how many of those games have been at night? A few. I know that the KJ butt fumble game was at night, but like most of the time they play that Jerry World game, it's like 11 a.m.
middle of the day.
War Memorial, I don't think they played at night last year because it was Thursday night. But even those games wouldn't add to the tally. It wouldn't move the needle really much at all.
No, dude, nothing was worse than the A&M game in 2016. That was at 8 p.m. That was I almost was at the point where I'm like, give me 11 a.m. games over 8 p.m. games. Because when it's halftime's about coming to an end and it's 10:45 at night, that's awful. So hopefully that never happens again. Also, it's like Austin from work says, might want to share that disaster kit with old UNC Bill Andrew Geese.
Okay, I mentioned that at the top of the show that I'm preparing for the tornado tomorrow.
Yeah. How about that with the old Jordan Hudson and Pablo Torre apparently finding videos of stuff, dude? It's crazy.
Pablo Torre's on their ass, man. I don't know how he's obtaining some of this stuff. It's actually crazy.
Like, is he becoming? I'm trying to think of like who. If there's a comparison of like the person that just everyone gives their information, but like it's not even like like trades and stuff. It's like just really damning bad stuff. Like their kids, like just hit up Pablo Torre.
Is Pablo Torre the most successful narc of all time?
Maybe,
yeah.
I mean, that's his entire podcast is just narking.
I don't know. The president's men people, that got Nixon for Watergate might be up there, but fair enough. It's gonna be some other things too. Also, Heartbroken Hawk says, y'all, I'm hyped up for this USC Boise State game this year. In football, you say? No, sir. Basketball, it's gonna be massive. Trust me.
This is what got me going on the pod because like I was talking about Lenardi's bracketology, whatever. It's fine, but then he put a story out that was the 14 must-watch games in November for college hoops. And I was like, I bet like the Michigan State game's on there or the Duke game, like one of the two, and neither of them were, whatever. And they had some really good ones. Like Kentucky, Louisville, I get it, whatever. Some really good matchups in there. And then it was just some crazy stuff. And I was kind of going through it and I was like, all right, that's fine. Okay. And then it was Boise State, USC. And I'm just like, what are you doing, my guy? What the hell are we talking about? This is not football. It's not a decade ago. It's college hoops, man. I mean, come on. Just can't take you seriously with that. Nobody's going to watch that game. USC fans don't watch their own home games. Yeah. Boise State, do they know that they have a basketball? I mean, what are we doing?
Blue court. Come on.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
That's it. I don't know if I could even name a player ever from Boise State. I'm sure there is one, but I couldn't even name one that ever played at Boise State.
It would have had to be someone that transferred somewhere else.
Yeah. Probably some just random guy that transferred to, like Washington or something. And was like, oh, he's really good. Something to that extent. But they ain't no Taylor Green. I can tell you that. Okay. So before we'll get into some college football preview, get to your final chats and everything too, but we got to have a recruiting update by our guy, Dudley Dawson, presented by Goat Lab Brewery and Goat Lab Red here in Fayetteville. It's the number one spot for pre and post game. They're going to be open tomorrow, folks. They're going to have their progressive wings going on. And here's the greatest thing. It's indoors. So if you're afraid of the storms and everything, there's no better place to do pregame action than Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville, 1214 Garland Avenue. You walk in there, you can get some of their signature brews. And they also have some signature burgers. They have the TVs up that you'll be able to watch all the games. You can be there for pregame. The game will be on during the game, and they'll have postgame too. It's the place to be. So if you're needing a place to go, or if you're not wanting to get out there in the rain and the weather, and maybe you're at the Razorback game, you're like, man, we got to get out of here. It's storming too much. It's raining too much. Well, just head over to Goat Lab Red. It's right there next to the stadium. Quick walk, and you can find them at 1214 Garland Avenue in Fayetteville. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hear from our guy, Dudley Dawson, with today's recruiting update presented by Goat Lab Red.
covering recruiting and the transfer portal for the Razorbacks. This is Inside Arkansas Recruiting with Dudley Dawson.
Welcome into the Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast update, sponsored by Goat Lab Brewery. I'm your host, Dudley Dawson. Wanted to go over a few things happening this weekend as Arkansas hosts a 2:30 game, which is really good for the visitors against Texas A&M. Several commitments will be here. KLV Foster, the safety from Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Coden Yarborough, defensive end from Durant, Oklahoma. Tay Lockett of Conway, the outstanding player down there. And Connor Smith of Clintwood, Virginia. Ridgeview is the punter that's going to be here this weekend. One of the things Arkansas obviously has done is lost a lot of commitments after the coaching change. They're now going out trying to get those commitments from other schools that have had changes. One of those will be here this weekend in Oklahoma. Former Oklahoma State linebacker commit Ray McLaughlin, 6'3", 195 from Bixby, Oklahoma. He was committed over at Oklahoma State until Mike Gundy was let go. So Arkansas will have him on campus this weekend, as will the UCLA wide receiver commit Kristen Shaw, 2027 guy. He's the son of former NFL receiver Terrence Shaw. Has been doing really good there. An in-state guy that they're excited about having this weekend, Jeremiah Dent, tailback from Marion, 2027 guy. Again, probably the best running back in the state in that 2027 class. Also, you're going to have three quarterbacks. Joaquin Pavlis is the Arkansas commitment right now, but they will have Hank Hendricks from Fayetteville, and also Blake Reiskoff making another trip from Goodyear, Desert Edge, Arizona. And he's a guy that they're excited to have, 6'5", 225. So those are some of the people that are being in here this weekend. Should have about 50 overall.
All right, so there's your recruiting update presented by Goat Lab Red. Just in time for Andrew to get back with us. Appreciate him. Appreciate Goat Lab Red. Appreciate Dudley giving the update on it. And it's kind of up in the air as far as recruiting goes for football right now. So, but it'll turn up, because I promise you, whoever ends up being the next head coach, transfer portal stuff, recruiting stuff, it's going to be hot and heavy, and it's going to be wild. And so, appreciate Dudley and appreciate Goat Lab there. Before we get to your final chats, just running through some of the big games going on in college football this weekend. You know, speaking of, LSU's playing a morning game, but it's not at home. They're playing against Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt, according to Bet Saracen's, favored by 1.5 in this game. I never thought I'd see the day that a Vanderbilt Commodore football team would be favored over LSU in any capacity, but here we are. You guys feeling the doors?
I'm going to be honest with you. No, I'm not.
Not either.
I think I like LSU in this game.
Yeah, and it's everything I have seen watching Vanderbilt play and watching LSU play this year makes me think Vanderbilt's going to win this football game, but I just can't get over the Vanderbilt angle of it. I'm part of the problem, fellas, but I look at this and I see LSU stretch coming up. Like, they got 3 brutal games in a row, 2 after this one that are quote unquote more difficult. Are they about to drop 3 in a row? Like, are they really about to do this? We're going to be talking about firing Brian Kelly and everything, or could Vanderbilt just lose a football game? It's kind of where I'm at with it. I think LSU is going to get them.
I like that. I will say this: I've been hard on Diego Pavia because I think he's pushed the envelope a little too much in terms of the PR. If he beats this LSU team and he balls out against this LSU defense, I will never say a bad word about Diego Pavia again.
Cosign.
Having said that, I am very skeptical that he is not going to make a ton of stupid decisions against LSU. I think he probably throws a couple picks and loses.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm with you too, as far as Diego, but also with LSU or Vanderbilt in general. If Vanderbilt wins this game, I'm going to stop doubting them. I'm going to start picking them, because it's just because they're coming off a bye week, at least, for what it's worth. So, hey, you've had 2 weeks. This is a huge game. I don't know. I feel like LSU is going to win, but if LSU does not beat Vanderbilt, 1, it's going to be hilarious to see the meltdown from LSU fans, and 2, Clark Lee is that dude. Vanderbilt's for real, and I got to start picking them because I think they play. Vanderbilt's got a good opponent coming up next. Yeah, Missouri at home. So we'll see what they do, but either way, could really happen that way. Another game of note, probably the biggest game, Georgia Ole Miss, guys. Ole Miss beat Georgia last year in Oxford. 7.5 point underdogs, Ole Miss is in this game. Do you think the Rebels do it twice in a row?
Nope. I think Georgia's going to beat them by 2 scores.
Yeah, I don't think Ole Miss wins. That's a lot of points. Now it's in Athens, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think Georgia is like kind of sleptwalk through the season. Like, I didn't think they were great in that Tennessee game until the final little play there, or final few plays there. Bama, they lose that game. I thought that was the game where Gunnar Stockton kind of got, I don't want to say exposed, but like where you can kind of tell there's some limitations for Georgia with Gunnar Stockton. But I just don't think Ole Miss is as good at the line of scrimmage as they were last year.
There's some limitations for Ole Miss with Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah, I think it's the jig is kind of up there, and he's fine, but I just don't think Ole Miss is going to be able to handle that physicality. I think last year's Ole Miss team was better, honestly.
Yeah, and also too, I just don't see Georgia losing 2 home games in a season. Like they've already lost 1, losing 2, even though it's not a night game, still is going to be pretty tough. What about Bama, Tennessee? Big rivalry game. You know, Tennessee has had a little bit more luck against Alabama, but Alabama, according to SARACEN, favored by 7.5 points in this game. Is Alabama going to make it 4 straight wins over ranked opponents in the SEC?
Yes. I think Bama's going to smack them around. I've been really impressed with what they've done. It's tough to week in, week out do this, you know, and they've had some impressive performances here, but I just think they're better than Tennessee is. And I certainly feel that way after what we witnessed last weekend. I think they're going to beat them by a couple scores. I think we got all these great matchups here, but I'm looking at a bunch of them thinking we're going to kind of get duds where maybe not super blowouts or whatever, but I don't know that we're going to get a whole bunch of down to the wire type of games. I think some of these home teams, sans Vandy, are just going to sort of handle their business.
This is a huge week for me in terms of determining how much I believe in DeBoer. Because I came into the season being like very high on Bama, and I was like, dude, I think they like actually are going to be a playoff team. Hey, they'll be in the mix. I think they've kind of gotten back to that level. I love their roster, and then they lay an egg week 1 against Florida State, and I gave up on all of it. And I was like, okay, so Bama, I was wrong. They don't have that great of a roster. Maybe they're really not. And since then, they've done nothing but just be solid. And so now I'm like kind of scared to go back in and be like, you know what, Bama really is a legit national title threat. Because I feel like they're going to do something stupid down the stretch. But I'm with you, Curtis. Like I think Tennessee's good, and we've given them credit. I don't think they're as good as they were last year either.
Yeah, I think the chickens have come home to roost for Tennessee, and I think Bama wins as well. And finally, the other one in the SEC. It's not like a big game, but it's interesting. Missouri and Auburn. This game's in Auburn. Shout out to Quinn. Missouri's favored, according to Bet Saracen, 1.5 points. First game Missouri has played away from their confines of that rock city that they have, or whatever it is there in Columbia. But Auburn, this might be do or die right now. 3-3, 0-3 in the SEC for Hugh Freeze. Do you guys think Auburn takes care of business, or you think they put the nail in the coffin and we got an interim coach coming to town next week?
Yeah, I got to stick with my narrative, man. I think it's going to be the interim bowl next week. I feel like Auburn's last stand was the first half against Georgia last week. And after the way all that went down, I don't know how much they've got left, how much grip is left on that rope, dude. And it's tumultuous over there. Missouri, I will say I think Missouri is better maybe than I gave them credit for coming into the year, but we all know what that schedule's been like. So there is something to it, I think, the first time you head on the road and everything. But I mean, what is that atmosphere really going to be like? You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen Arkansas teams go over there and face Auburn teams who are in the gutter, kind of like this, and it was no big deal. And I think people are maybe feeling over there kind of like how a lot of Razorback fans were near the end of the Sam Pittman tenure. I just think Missouri is going to go over there and beat them. Maybe it'll be competitive or whatever. But yeah, I think this might be the end of the road, dude. And then we've got DJ Durkin versus Bobby Petrino next week. Not under the lights.
I love that. Y'all know Jackson Arnold is the only SEC starter that has not thrown an interception this year.
Yep.
It's only completed like 12 passes all season.
Yeah.
Auburn does this thing where not only do they not trust Jackson Arnold, they don't let Jackson Arnold do anything. Like truly. Like they literally try and take the game completely out of his hands. They like him. He's a good athlete. He can run the ball. He just cannot throw a forward pass. He couldn't do it at Oklahoma last year. I think that's like, if Auburn's going to win this game, it's going to be because Jackson Arnold actually lives up to all the hype he's had his entire career, and he's actually going to play a good game completing forward passes. But I think that Auburn offense is just too simplistic. It's too predictable. They know whenever they get it, down in the game and Jackson has to throw, other teams can sense that. I think Missouri is I don't think Missouri is actually that great. but I think they're just too like solid enough to lose to a team like Auburn right here.
My only thing would be is that like Auburn's kind of like Arkansas where they lose games close. I mean, I know that's different types because their offense is terrible, but their defense has been pretty solid. I think Auburn wins. And here's why. It's because I think Missouri, I think they shot their wad against Bama. That was their arriving moment. That was supposed to be their time to shine and to be that. And I think they're going to have an emotional letdown, and then they're going to play like crap. And for Auburn to just maybe do enough to give them some belief, I think they're going to win. It's going to be a disgusting game, an absolutely gross game.
And then Drink is going to go to Penn State. So
yep,
there you have it.
Well,
do we agree with this? Is an interesting from Filthy. Do we agree with this? Would be cool if we get to end Hugh's tenure like we did Harson's. There was something that felt a little bit poetic about that. And, if you think about some of the things that Hugh Freeze has done to Arkansas on that field, he was the beginning of the end of Sam Pittman. Well, maybe not the beginning, but he contributed to the end of Sam Pittman with that Liberty team. And you could get him back, get a little revenge for your boy Sam there, Bobby P.
It would definitely be cool, and it would just be like a funny thing that like in the midst of the worst program or like stretch in program history, Arkansas fired an Auburn coach twice. Like that'd be pretty hilarious. I haven't looked at Auburn's schedule. Do they have a bye week coming up?
Oh, that's always the kicker. They do. Let's see. They have a bye week. Oh my gosh, they don't have a bye week till after Vanderbilt game. So November 15th, I think, is their next bye week.
Oh,
yeah.
dang.
So yeah, I guess you might as well just let them lose all these games.
Yeah. I hope they do it just because you guys are going to be there with Quinn. And I like to see that type of reaction. So you guys are going to have to report on that. Maybe live stream him and let him know. So it's going to be great.
I would go. I would live stream right there from the game, but I heard you get shot for doing that now. So
only if you're in the media.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, a couple quick chats here before we roll out. Shout out to sweet Arkansas gal. Look at that. She's back in. She says, "Hey guys, I'm retired but still watching." Congrats.
Love that.
Yeah.
Hope retirement is treating you well.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Filthy Tom also talks about Boise State has one player in the NBA, Ray J. Dennis. Great.
Oh, okay.
So there you have it. And then Case says, "I saw Coach Pitt at the skate park. He can still do a pop shove it into a tail slide." What is this?
Case trolling.
Like, but why, of all the trolls, why go with the skate park? Like, are you playing Tony Hawk's right now and you just thought about it, or like, sheesh? All right.
Did y'all have that video game? Was that before your time, Andrew? Tony Hawk Pro Skater?
No, yeah. the Tony Hawk games I was big on growing up.
Dude, yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. As great as the games were, the soundtrack was really the truly best part about it. So those were good times. All right, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the week?
1 week until Arkansas basketball takes the floor against someone else. That's very exciting. And tune in tomorrow morning time. I'll let one of you guys say, because I'm not sure exactly when it's going to go out, but our pregame show will make its return 9 a.m. tomorrow. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, excited to get back to usual with our game day coverage. It should be a fun one, and hope everyone stays safe with the incoming weather. And let's have a Woo Pig weekend, man. Let's have a great one. And don't yell at us over the weekend in the chat.
Yeah, please don't. I'm sure they'll listen to that. But yeah, no, I mean, again, appreciate everybody listening in. Just real quick, I want to give a shout out to Corey Ray. He was a guy that I posted about this yesterday, but he DM'd me on Facebook over a year ago, April 25th, 2024, and said that he's watched shows every day with Locked On and Inside Arkansas. He's like, he's getting radiation treatment because he was dealing with stage 4 throat cancer. And it says the shows always help. And it was like one of the most emotional and like nicest things ever of like him saying that it helps him out. Well, then he goes on to message me over a year later yesterday and says that he had all the radiation treatment, stage 4 throat cancer, and now he's 100% cancer free. And that is just awesome. That is so awesome. And I know we've had our guy, Derek Raduno, and a lot of people going through stuff. And like anytime that we get those messages, man, it's very humbling and very awesome. So shout out to you, Corey. Glad you're better, man. And glad that we can provide you, even if it's just something small. I'm glad we can provide something to help you out, man. That was just an awesome thing. So glad you beat it, man. Tough dude, and keep on keeping on. But that'll do it for us here at Inside Arkansas. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Be sure to subscribe to all of our audio podcasts, wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, Bombastic Podcast. as well as Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast and Inside Arkansas Football Podcast. And don't forget, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we're going to have the Inside Arkansas pregame show presented by SARACEN. And that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, intern Cameron, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel next Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m.